Most of us think that when we have a problem, we need to find a solution to the problem. We're looking for some kind of personal development work, mindset work, or a way to improve our businesses. What's true is that that's all valuable and helpful for most people. What may surprise you, though, is that some of us, and I'm pegging this at about 1% of entrepreneurs, are ready for something more. Something bigger inside themselves is trying to get out. My biggest fear on September 20th of 2020 at 5 o'clock in the morning, where that something was burning to get out, was that it wouldn't happen. I measured whether it was happening or not through external, measurable results. Is my business working? Do I like my customers? Am I doing what I love? Is my mindset good? Am I on the right personal development path? That's how I judge myself. And it wasn't working. Here's why. We exist in two worlds. The hidden world, which is the real world, and the world of our obvious known experience. The existence that we have right in front of us. The problem is the division between these worlds. Both of these worlds are important, but for 1% of us, entrepreneurs, we're ready to merge those worlds together. That hidden world of power and unlimited potential, the ability to get everything you've always wanted in this life, is possible right now for anybody that's ready for it. I spent my life trying to find this. I knew I always wanted it. I always had a feeling of some destiny. I always had a feeling there was more. And I thought the more was more whatever it is. This plane of existence in which we live is important. But it will never, and there is nothing in it that will ever fill that feeling that something is missing. And when you know what's missing, everything changes. Filling the gap of what's missing changes everything. When I realized that the answers were all inside myself and that finding them had nothing to do with personal development or mindset or anything like that, everything changed immediately. And I followed the pathway that all seekers of truth follow. It's the same pathway. Our experience walking it is very different from individual to individual, but the pathway is the same. And that's what I'm going to show you in the 8-part entrepreneur path here. Thought, action, and impact. In thought, on the pathway to truth, we've taken the red pill and left the matrix behind. Everything we were taught is wrong. That's the matrix. That's Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave. Living in the world of belief systems. That's the trap that binds us in suffering. Then We enter Wonderland, the magical world of suspended state transformation. We haven't gone there yet. We don't know what's going on. That's why it's helpful to have a pathway, and that's why it's helpful to have a community around you. Most traditions that lead towards truth have those elements. They have teachings and they have a community, and the individual going down the pathway has the responsibility to do it, and no one else. In our thought, on this pathway, we gain inner freedom. Our thoughts are ours. The belief systems are gone. That's not mindset work. That's not personal development. That is the elimination of beliefs that trap you in an illusion that leads to suffering inside yourself, which is the feeling something's missing that will never go away based on getting an external result. Unlimited potential. This is the most amazing part. Your creative imagination opens up in ways you cannot possibly understand without having the experience. When you experience your deeper self and the truth of this hidden magical realm that is inside all of us, potential rushes toward you. There is a field of potential and opportunities wrapped around us everywhere. And when you are in the open state, connected to this deeper energy, which is connected to everything, it gives you access to it in your mind. And you think about what you want, and it begins to happen. We live in an unconditional state of mind when we're on a truth path, meaning that it doesn't matter what happens around us. My mood, my state of being, my knowledge of what I am and who I am and what I'm doing does not change based on external shifting conditions, other people's opinions or attitudes, or what I get or don't get. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying it doesn't affect me. It affects me, but I am conscious of that effect. I feel the experience, and I move on. Action. Flow happens on this pathway as a state of existence. It's not a flow state. It's flow. A flow state is conditional. When I do what I love, I feel like I'm in flow. I like surfing. When I'm surfing, I feel like I'm in flow. I love working in my business or on my business or working with my clients. When I'm doing that, I feel like I'm in a state of flow. That's not a flow existence because it's conditional based on what you're doing. On a truth pathway, you exist in a state of flow in your actions all the time, even if you don't like what you're doing. That's how people are able to do really hard things, like be in prison for 30 years, like Nelson Mandela. He lived in a flow existence. That's how he was able to do it. I know that now. Or Mother Teresa, living in the slums of Calcutta in poverty. One of the most celebrated people in the world had nothing. She didn't care. She lived in a complete state of flow existence without any conditions. It didn't matter what was going on around her. You have access to this when you're ready for it. Meaningful vision. The way you think about your business will change as you enter the top 1% of entrepreneurs, because it becomes about lightening the load on other people. It becomes about helping impact the core essence and true nature of others. And the actions direct towards those activities and really nothing else. Everything else feels like a distraction. And this happens automatically when you've opened up your thinking. Now, evolutionary intention is important. According to Sadhguru, the Indian yogi, we are able to speed up our evolution. And when we speed up our evolution, we're able to help others do the same. The actions you take when you're on a truth path lead towards having an evolutionary impact on yourself and others. It just feels right. It doesn't feel like work. It feels meaningful, purposeful, and right, because we have an inborn access to this powerful energy which wants us to succeed. This energy wants you to get everything that you've always wanted. It just wants you to know what that is. It doesn't want you to get things you don't want that you think you want because you're trying to feel comfortable or be successful or be recognized. Because if you get those things, it's not what your true deeper nature wants. So it's going to stop you from getting it. When you open to that deeper nature and you know what you really want because you are it now, or at least closer to it, what you're doing has an evolutionary impact. Now, the realized self means that we are bringing together the self that we think exists. Well, it exists. The self that we think is real, that exists. The person we've always been. In other words, the transitory part of ourself that's going to die. It's impermanent. It's not going to stick around. That part of ourself on its own is incomplete. The realized self means the eternal energetic part of ourselves merges with the realized self. This is misunderstood. You're not killing your ego. You're not shrinking it even. Not at all. You're merging it into one identity, your true self. In doing that, you open full access to energetic power. Energetic power means that everything that has ever existed, exists now, and will ever exist is right in front of you. You think about what you want to do, and it starts to happen. It may not happen the way you want. Trust me on that. But it will happen. And you will enjoy the journey if you surrender to the process and detach from the outcomes, knowing that you are being taken care of. Any truth system follows some version of this 8-part entrepreneur path. I did not create this. That did not come from my own experience. I have walked this path and I have experienced everything on this path. And that's why this was given to me for you, to help you, if you are ready, to become a top 1% entrepreneur.